but so far, we're within guideline, as you'll see.
I have to keep changing my volume.
This is per pupil expenditure data that we benchmarked with comparable districts. This is the latest fiscal year available from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. You can see Concord is a fifth on our set of peer groups. Lincoln Sudbury moved past us this past year. Our budget objectives are to maintain our existing programs and supports to students. That's essentially a level service budget. Support our strategic plan initiatives, which don't necessarily cost money, some may. Meet our legal mandates for special education, homelessness, and other requirements. And be mindful of the fiscal capacity of both towns and balance what we hope and strive to do with those fiscal constraints. Our planning assumptions are a level service budget while meeting legal mandates, and that we're transitioned into the new middle school. And as part of that transition, we have realized consolidation savings of $576,000 in FY26. That's incorporated into our budget, and there are no costs, excuse me, any longer for Peabody and Sanborn as part of our budget. Homeless transportation costs are not budgeted. We have a mechanism with the town to designate those receipts to the school district on a lag basis. And also, last meeting, our superintendent shared an update that we anticipate, it's been communicated to us that the shelters were closed by August 31st of this summer.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is the official first day of the school year? Like, if the...
Before that?
Before that. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, so are we. We're going to have to stay in close contact with the state because things change pretty dramatically if students start with us.
Yeah. We're worried about it from a budget perspective.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Same.
This is a summary. We have detailed slides that go through each of these categories, but at a big picture perspective, you can see our overall increase is a little bit over 1.1 million, a 2.4% increase over FY25's adopted budget, which is right on line with the guideline established by the Town of Concord Finance Committee. And in this comparison, I've excluded the School of Origin transportation that's added as a supplemental appropriation, which I'll mention later. Our FTE summary, I mean, the bulk of this reduction is from the middle school. Some of these changes relate to savings that were realized after the FY25 budget was developed. So some of these are not being realized, as we move to next year. Again, these are some of the details, and these are, I would say, fluid too. We have ongoing assessments we have of what our needs are across the schools, and at the time we built the budget, this is where we were, and we're continuing to work through, discuss this further even today in our administrative meeting, and it's an ongoing process. Within the administration category, it's an increase of $138,000 or 7.8%. The two key drivers are salary increases, which includes basically central office positions. And then in software costs, we've had some things that we needed to migrate and incorporate into our budget. Some of it's cyber security related due to the incident we had in April of 2024. Some of it was previously covered by grant funds, and some of it's the Google Ed Plus subscriptions and enhanced service. And then we do have some price increases on our existing subscriptions. Teacher salaries increased by 4.6%. Overall teaching instructional, what's in that category is primarily teaching and instructional support and related expenses. The salaries is the biggest driver of that. So that's up by 1.2 million. That does not factor in the CMS consolidation savings, which I've referred to at the bottom and kind of called out separately. And the teacher salaries includes COLA, steps and lanes. Non-teacher salaries is basically an inflationary increase with some savings on replacement hires. And we've also had some savings in contract services and supplies. So overall, 1.9%. It's a fairly good result, which takes some work to sometimes arrive at that in this category. Other school services is really inflationary increases aside from one thing, which is the special education transportation. We have an assessment from CASE that's a formula based on where our students go, how far the mileage is, and it's on a lag basis. There's also been some credits there. When they have a surplus, it gets credited that no longer exist this year. So that's really what's driving the special ed transportation. Even with that increase of $67,000, we're at 3.7% overall. The maintenance and operations is up 2.7%. This includes some IT costs. We do have some, on the flip side, we do have some savings from utilities costs from the CMS move from 2 older buildings into a newer building. So there is some savings there. And then the balance of this, there's some contractual wage increases for building service and maintenance, and the trash recycling cost is to align with actuals, what's been budgeted versus what we've been getting charged by the town was off, and that's been corrected with the FY26 budget process. Fixed charges is driven primarily by insurance increases. There's some of this that is rate increases, some of this is experience increases. So that's a 23% increase. It's driving the fixed charge up. The fixed assets is an increase of $15,000. We have old furniture in the elementary schools, and we're seeking to allocate this amongst them based on what we see as our most significant needs. The out-of-district tuitions is relatively flat overall. There's the gross cost tuitions are coming down 20,000, and our offsets from grants and circuit breaker are relatively flat. This is significantly different from our regional budget, you'll see, and we've had, because of our programs here, able to keep a lot of our students in district and have a very low percentage of students out of district relative to what the state average is. This is just a view. It's relatively consistent across salary and non-salary in terms of how the increase is broken out. Thought it would be helpful to just highlight the middle school transition specifically. We identified $576,000 in consolidation savings that we factored into the budget by moving into the new Ellen Garrison building at Concord Middle School. The electricity costs are based on guidance from the building design engineers. So I just used their guidance to build the electricity budget.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
We have, I believe the HVAC went in like almost 2 months ago now, so we're getting actuals. Have you seen those?
I'm not paying for those now.
No, but have you seen them? I'm just wondering if they're like, because this would be a high electricity year.
It's hard. We can get them.
Yeah.
See, the GC's been paying them up until January, but in an empty building, it's going to be different. Like when you walk through, everything's motion, so everything's off until somebody walks in, so.
Well, yes and no, but there's also contractors in like every room, you know?
Yeah, no, we can definitely get them. I'm just.
I don't want to create a ton of additional work. I just, like, if it's within 10%, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, it'd be
If it's
interesting to
75%
see where
off,
they're
that's a
at.
problem.
And we are paying the February bill, so we will see
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Okay. And then we built the wastewater treatment facility contract into our budget. We also have some savings in not having to maintain 2 older buildings that we're moving out of Sanborn and Peabody, which are not factored into the budget for -- the homeless student financial update. This relates to FY25, and essentially, all of this is going to go away if what the state communicated regarding the shelter comes to pass. We'll not have grant funds next year, but for this year, we do have about $600,000 in CPS and significant homeless transportation costs that we do need to offset. So I just wanted to kind of share where we were, and this may be the last year that we need to share this. And this is how we're using these funds, the homeless grant funds. It's supporting some student-facing roles primarily. These other items for town meeting, I'm not going to go through in the budget. Do I need to go?
No,
through
we're
these?
going to
These are
separate agenda
incorporated as separate agenda items tonight, so I won't go through these. I'll discuss those when we go over those agenda items. They're not part of the actual budget, but I presented them previously so that you're aware they were coming. And I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
So this is a hearing, so you would take public questions at this point, if there are any.
Any public questions?
There is one hand up from JG.
It's the fifth time we've presented it, but
You feel good about it, Bob?
yes, I do. I feel like we've had a lot going on, and we've been able to incorporate it all into our plan for next year, and yeah.
Good. With conviction. All right. Do we need to close out the hearing, or?
You should technically close the hearing, yes.
Okay.
I think there's a hand up from the
Just make a
public.
motion to close it.
Can I get a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
For the region. This is for the region, right?
No, this is CPS?
Yes.
Yes, okay, sorry. Getting my topsy-turvy. So moved, or second?
Okay.
Whatever you need.
That's
I didn't
good.
know when members are online, I'm sorry, I was late.
Just Tracy.
So, Tracy, yeah.
We have no regional member?
This is
Oh,
the
we don't need it?
Concord.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Anderson, aye.
Or check I.
Rainy eye.
Tracy?
Oh, hold on.
You guys can't
No,
hear
she
me, I
said
don't
she-
think.
that- She's trying to say something, she can't be heard, but she's muted, so.
Yeah, Tracy, Yeah, Tracy, try again.
We'd
I would like to see if we can get this to work.
There's also a hand up from the public. Can you hear me at all? Can you hear me at
Now
all?
we can. Now we can.
Okay, there's
Is
a
that
hand
an
up from
aye
the
for
public.
the budget- to close the budget hearing?
hearing.
All right,
All right.
we're good for now.
We're good.
Hearing. All right, move on to the CMLP agreement update.
So I've been in communication with CMLP General Manager, I think that's his title, Jason Bulger. We have a intergovernmental agreement that we're working through. We had some good progress and discussion I had with him last week. And I anticipate that we're going to be able to come to agreement. There's still some things to work through with language-wise, but conceptually, in terms of where we both are, I think we're going to be fine. So I'll.
Did we segment out the, phases of the agreement? I remember when Jason came to our meeting a month or so ago, there was some discussion about sort of the phases of the project, which the first phase, I believe, is the rooftop panels, correct? The second phase would be the canopy, maybe concurrent with the battery. So is this MOU for the entire
Yes,
the phases, or just phase one, which is the rooftop?
for the entire project.
Okay.
So Barbara, it's hard, I can't totally see who's online and what's happening because of the tech issues. We have a hand up from the budget hearing.
Oh, okay.
I need to promote them.
Okay. We'll be able to hear it on your computer.
It'll be echoey, but I think so.
Good evening. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
We can,
Hello?
we can hear you.
you.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes? Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes? Yes?
Yes. I had a question on the wastewater. I had a question on the wastewater.
Is there a chat box?
Maybe he could put it in the chat box.
We don't have the chat.
We don't have the
Shoot.
chat.
Hello?
We're having technical
We're having
issues
technical issues here, so
Yeah, is there a way I can type this in?
unfortunately,
there isn't.
If you would like to
If you'd like to
email the school committee, that might
that
be
might
the
be the best
option.
option.
All right, who has a cell phone ready, available, they can look at their email, and I'll send an email.
Go ahead and send
Go ahead
it.
and send it, I think one of us will see it.
Where am I sending it?
Concord School
Concord School Committee
at
at
concordps.org.
We're breaking up. Wastewater, is this being operated at the bus yard?
The wastewater
topic is about,
Bob, do you want to
Bob,
talk
do you want to
about
talk
it a little?
I think we get the idea of the question. We'll try our best.
The wastewater treatment plan is what's going to manage the wastewater at the new middle school. It does not relate to the bus yard at all.
Okay. There's a line item about wastewater at the bus yard. Is the EPA running that? Are we running it active? Are we renting that to or from someone?
Over at the bus yard, we work with the EPA and the JW Grace oversight.
Okay, who's monitoring the discharge of that?
Yeah, it's all EPA regulated.
I understand that. I have a complaint in, not about the bus yard, but about the nuclear metal site, where there's what they call a SWIP, does not appear to be being performed. And you have the guard guarding the guard, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay,
I'm
we can
concerned that
barely
you're
hear
gonna
you,
be
but
in a
I think what you're
situation
trying to
where we end up
articulate is not a
dumping
school
a
committee budget
hazmat
issue, and that might be a
by
separate
accident.
town issue.
Yeah, this communication's a little tough. Well, I'll have to figure out a better way to get this out.
Okay, apologies.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, really frustrating. Sorry, the power outage last week took out some of our electrical components, so we're really struggling tonight. Keep moving on. So I think we're done with the CMLP agreement update, so we'll look for more on that. Move to action items now, starting with the surplus, PBD surplus.
So I think this is for the school committee to declare the building surplus. As you know, we're moving out of the Peabody School building, and we received guidance from town council on what was needed to declare it surplus. And this would be, again, something they'd approve also at town meeting, but the school committee role would be first to declare it as surplus. So we provided a motion in the agenda, which I'll present on screen.
I could read it.
Okay.
I move that the school committee declares that the 3 parcels of land known collectively as the Peabody School property and comprised of 1231 Old Marlborough Road, parcel ID 3000, 78 Old Pickard Road, parcel ID 2999, and 68B Powder Mill Road, parcel ID 2991-7, are no longer necessary for public school purposes, and recommends the transfer of care, custody, management, and control of said parcels to the Select Board.
Discussion? Second?
Second,
Discussion?
what is the effective date?
Well, you need to vote this tonight, and then there'll be a town meeting warrant article that the select board put forward, and then that will be effective as of town meeting.
So can we put,
This is exactly from legal counsel what is
Okay.
here, so we
okay, I just,
probably don't want to edit much.
but it's not effective immediately, it's not effective when we move out, it's not,
No, this is effective immediately, because unless you do this, if you don't do this tonight, the select board can't do what they need to do.
no, I understand for town meeting. Yes.
But you need to vote this tonight, and then the select board puts it out the
Dr.
warrant.
Hunter, I understand that. I'm just saying, this doesn't go into effect until town meeting vote, realistically.
Realistically, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. I'm ready to vote.
Okay. I personally wanted to find a way to keep this land and kind of monetize it and use it towards education. But after many iterations with my legal advice, aka ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure that's not possible, and I don't even know if we get the support. So I think we just move forward as, as it's written. So all those in favor? Right?
We have to roll call because
roll
of
call.
Tracy. So Anderson, aye.
Hurcheck, aye.
Rainey, aye? Morano's first.
Morano, aye.
Okay.
We got you.
We got,
Okay. Anything else on this? No, right?
No, the next step is the select board. So.
Yep. Okay. Next item is the warrant to create facility use revolving account.
Should I move it and then we discuss it, or do you want? I can move it.
Sure.
I move that the school committee votes to authorize establishment of a facilities rental revolving fund in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71E, and/or other enabling legislation, and to further approve the draft warrant article language presented below for town meeting approval. I will read said draft motion language, which is, quote, that the town vote to authorize establishment of a non-resident tuition revolving fund in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71E, and/or any other enabling legislation.
There was an edit that, there was a typo in that. It's the Facilities Rental Revolving Fund. And the version.
Oh, whoops. Yep, okay. I am going to rescind my motion and edit to say, I move that the school committees vote to authorize the establishment of a non-resident tuition revolving fund in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71E, and/or any other enabling legislation, and to further approve the draft warrant language article presented below for town meeting approval, which states, quote, that the town vote to authorize establishment of a non-resident tuition revolving fund in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71E, and/or any other enabling legislation.
So we're skipping over the facility fund,
The what?
the facility use fund?
That was a typo. It's just.
Number B is not happening?
Can you help, Bob?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it? You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plan.
There's, I have it presenting on screen. The motion that if you could adopt.
Let me just clarify which warrant we're on,
Yeah.
because I think through the mistakes, we now have
Sure.
confusion.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No, I don't,
Item number B.
No one's fault.
Yeah, item number B on our agenda is to vote the Facility Use Revolving Fund.
Oh,
And initially, it was posted with
understood.
the word non-resident in the draft town meeting motion language, but it had it correctly listed as facilities in the school committee motion. But we're on item B, and the language has been corrected and is on screen and on our current agenda accurately. So we're requesting that.
it got changed on the live webpage.
Got it.
Sorry.
It's okay. So we're doing, I'll rescind my motion again and amend it to say, I move that the Concord School Committee's vote to authorize establishment of a facilities rental revolving fund in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71E, and/or any other enabling legislation, and to further approve the draft warrant language article presented below for town meeting approval.
Second? I'll second.
Can he? I don't think you can. I think you need to second.
I can second. Can you hear me?
Tracy, can you
second this?
She's waving at
She's
you.
waving
I'm
at you.
seconding right now.
Yep.
Go ahead, say it.
Go ahead, say it.
I second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion?
So I just,
So
I'll be, clear on why we're asking for this right now. All of our receipts from any facility use at CPS go to the town general fund. We've for quite a while now thought
they
should come back to the schools because we're doing maintenance and other things to keep the buildings operational and keep the space that's being used
available.
It's been minimal
up until now.
maybe $15,000
a year.
Certainly, we expect with the new middle school coming online, that could increase. And as will our operational costs also increase. And maintenance of presumably the gym, auditorium, all of that.
So
we would like the town to consider a revolving account where the funds come back to the schools for the use of the buildings.
So is there present, so the idea is that presently there isn't a lot of demand for the older facilities at the Peabody Building and the Sanborn Building, and we expect that to change significantly given.
Yeah, this has been on the list for a long time.
We've had other use
we
that
wish we
we
had gotten the revenue for.
We've had
movie rentals,
and
that hasn't come our way, even though we did all the logistics and availability to the different entities that have wanted to use the schools. So this has been on the list for a long time. Sure, maybe the middle school potential there is having us activate. We do think that operationally we need revenues coming back to offset the cost.
Is there a reason why there wasn't, this fund has not been established to date?
The dollars have been relatively small.
It's
been small enough, I guess, just didn't get to the
priority list.
Is it customary to have one of these funds in a district the size?
I've never,
and
I haven't seen
a
a
district where the schools aren't benefiting from the revenues of the use of the buildings.
They're paying the
operational costs.
So this is customary, this is not unique.
And this is primarily for outside groups, the town.
Town
rec
groups.
And we're not
trying to make money, we're just trying to be able to pay for what it costs to run the building.
Because we do facility services after events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, they pay fees if those are pertinent, but for electricity, for anything else, for a gym floor to be maintained, for whatever.
And that covers elementary school properties.
It does, yeah.
It does, yeah, it's all the K-8s.
This seems prudent to me.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Okay. Do a roll call?
Sure. Anderson, aye.
Or check aye?
Morano, aye.
We got you.
Rainy nay.
All right. Next warrant article will be for the non-resident tuition revolving account.
Should I try it again, guys?
Please.
Okay. I move that the town vote to authorize. So wait, that doesn't make sense, right? The town is not. I move that we authorize, the school committee authorize the establishment of a non-resident tuition revolving fund in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71E, and/or any other enabling
This
legislation.
is F. Are you on a different version?
I'm sorry?
Are you on a different version? This says F.
I must be. Can you read it?
Sure.
Sorry.
The Concord School Committee votes to authorize establishment of a non-resident tuition revolving fund in accordance with MGL laws, Chapter 71, Section 71F, and/or any other enabling legislation, and to further provide the draft warrant article language presented below for town meeting approval.
Second.
Discussion?
I can weigh in a little bit here. So this is for, should we tuition students into our special education programs at CPS? That revenue would need a vehicle to come back to the schools.
Yeah, and is this also because are we hoping that there might be some movement with specifically Carlisle as a district to help them get acclimated so that
Sure, that is
they're in our programs and
certainly
thriving?
among
Okay,
the
great.
motives behind it. Yep.
Yeah.
We get tuition, would there be any other students outside of Carlisle that would use this?
There might be. We're, at the high school, we are tuitioning kids in from 3 different districts right now. So word gets out and they call and we see if they're a fit and go from there. So sure.
It's great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely support this.
Really a positive development.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Anderson, aye.
Hurcheck, aye.
Morano, aye.
Rainy eye. Rainy eye.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going down. Now we'll vote on the warrant regarding extended procurement of leases and subscriptions.
Should I explain this one first?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So this is an article that I proposed with Dr. Hunter's support. We traditionally lease school buses for 5 years. In the regional district, school committee has the authority to approve that, but in the town, it should be approved by town meeting. You can obtain a one-time approval at town meeting to have permission to grant that authority to either the administration or the school committee. We sought guidance from town council on this, and we're proposing that that is our standard method right now, and this is to help us be compliant. Once we have this vote, we won't need to bring it to town meeting every year. So bus leases for 5 years is what we're requesting. And then for curriculum resources, we're also requesting that we be able to go out to 5 years, because what I have experience with is that the curriculum providers recover most of their costs and make most of their money in the first 3 years of subscription, and that if you look to extend beyond into years 4 and 5, you can obtain significant discounts. We would only do this if there were significant discounts available. I've seen instances where there's discounts of greater than 50% on year 4 and year 5 in my personal experience. So I feel like we're not able to take advantage of that now. And we'll only do it if we have curriculum that we're committed to use for 5 years, not if there's any uncertainty. So that's the reason we're bringing it forth. The law limits Dr. Hunter or I from contracting anywhere beyond 3 years. And this would give us authority to go to 5, either directly with us, or I think the way I wrote it was to have the school committee have that authority. So we would bring it to you when we have these contracts.
Maybe I'll do the motion and then we'll do discussion. So you want to do the motion?
Sure. I move that the Concord School Committee vote to approve the submission of a town meeting warrant article to authorize extended contract terms of up to 5 years for bus leases and curriculum licenses and subscriptions in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30B, Section 12B, and/or any other enabling legislation, and to further approve the draft warrant article language presented on the following page for town meeting approval.
Great. Second?
Second.
I'll second.
Again, in the financial situation that town is in general, this seems more than wise to me. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just thinking about any risks, and or these, at least on the software side, most of them are cancelable with some notice period, right? So
No,
No,
we've been really
we've been
locked in on a few.
But we're very careful with only
Going into these. We would only
we would only
consider
consider
these
these
on something that we're
sure
sustained.
sustain.
Would you do it, I mean, most people don't do more than 3 years on a software license.
The ones we have in mind are longitudinal ones, like everyday math.
It would
been
have
nice
been nice if we could have done longer.
Because we've
Been
been
in that program a long time now.
Okay.
We just like to have the options.
Would this be something that if you guys were going to enter into a 5-year subscription that you'd sort of bring to the school committee for
That's
notice, or?
That's the way we wrote the draft town meeting language, so we would bring it to you. Yep.
Yeah.
So there would be discussion in the public about it if it were ever to come to pass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Any more discussion?
I certainly think having the option,
Yeah, that's all.
especially given that there would be public discussion about it, I think,
Yep.
to Cynthia's point, like.
And you'd have the ability to say, well, we don't really think that's a good idea for this contract.
And we can look at it more than once a year too, which is nice.
Okay.
Okay, roll call?
Anderson, aye.
Check aye.
Morano, aye.
Rainey, aye.
Okay. All right, last action item would be the CPS FY26 budget.
Thank you, Bob. Tonight, I will move that the Concord School Committees vote to approve the Concord Public Schools proposed FY26 budget of $47,632,034, and further, that an additional sum of $69,906 be requested as supplemental funding from the town of Concord for the specific amount anticipated to be received by the town in June of 2025 on behalf of Concord Public Schools through the McKinney-Vento Homeless Transportation Program for the purpose of reimbursing additional transportation expenses arising from students residing at the homeless shelter at 740 Elm Street, Concord, Massachusetts, said sum requiring further municipal appropriation by town meeting.
So that's the same language you had a year ago, because the reimbursements are so delayed.
Yes.
You're going to have that for at least a year from now, you'll have it as well, so that those revenues come back to us.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you, guys, for your work.
So I forgot to ask, and I didn't notice that there's anything in the budget, and I know this is late-breaking news, but what is the potential impact to our FY26 budget as to if we lose all federal funding?
Well, that's pretty devastating.
But I want to make it clear to the public, because I
Yeah,
think people are not necessarily really understanding that even a district like ours
Sure.
is devastating, and it's potentially really going to happen. So I think we have to even try to outline what that might be. Not tonight, but we'll have, obviously, a lot of time will have passed by even the town meeting, and the town meeting hearing, and the town meeting. So we'll have a lot more information, so it's really disheartening, I have to say. Not for us, but for the country. So, the prospect of the Department of Education closing is just kind of blows my mind, honestly.
I frankly can't imagine the national public education system will collapse without the federal funding. So we all have so much concern and hope that there will
bluster and
be
not
a lot
reality.
of talk and intervention
Yeah.
and no action.
Yes, I hope so, but I'm beginning to be a little more jaded.
And the districts that get the most federal support, we're not one, are
I
the
know,
most-
and
most
Are the most
disadvantaged,
vulnerable.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but we'll know a lot more in 5 months or 4 months than we do today.
It's a good call out. I mean, it's a real risk, right? So,
Yeah. Didn't come out today, so.
Okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to do that
Call
PSA.
out. And yeah, I mean, I think hundreds of hours of work kind of come down to this one motion. So anyway, really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know the town will appreciate it too. So let's do a roll call.
Anderson, aye.
Hurcheck, aye.
Morano, aye.
Rainey, aye. Rainey, aye. Rainey, aye.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. All right.
I move that the Concord School Committee will enter into executive session under Purpose 3 of the Open Meeting Law, which is to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Concord Public Schools building service workers, and to return to open session.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion, Anderson, aye.
Hurcheck, aye.
She's not there. She's not there. I'll say rainy eye.
Oh, there she
Oh,
is.
there she is.
There's your yes.
There's your yes.
Morano, aye.
Okay, so we'll be right back. Again, apologies for all the technical difficulties. Not ideal.
You did great.
Adjustments. So process-wise, this is our open hearing. I just have a picture that shows kind of the overall process, and there's often times when this isn't necessarily the end, so that just depicts where we are in the process. There is some information on state aid we'll get later in this month. We actually received preliminary guidance that's relatively close to what we forecasted. Our per pupil expenditure data is something we look at each year. These are our peer districts that we typically benchmark with. This is the latest information available from the state's Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. You can see the third column on the left is Concord Carlisle. Weston and Wellesley are the two highest per pupil in our peer group. Our budget objectives are to maintain existing programs and supports to students, support our strategic plan initiatives, and again, some of those don't cost money, but there may be some that do. Meet our legal mandates for special education and homelessness and other requirements, and then balance school and student needs with the fiscal capacity of the towns of both Concord and Carlisle. What we're presenting is a level service budget that, meeting our legal mandates and covering our existing programs is level service budget. We don't have new initiatives really built in here. Our planning assumptions, I just mentioned level service. Homeless transportation is not included in our budget. We will receive reimbursement for the transportation cost on a lag basis as revenue. And the last bullet I haven't updated, but we did share an update at our last school committee meeting that it's anticipated that the shelter on Elm Street will close August 31st of 2025. Our overall budget increase across all categories is 3.86%, and an increase of a little bit over 1.5 million. I'm going to go through each of these categories in more detail. The key drivers here, when you look at it at a high level, are other school services and out-of-district tuitions that are the ones that are kind of significant increases above what's typical. Our administration costs are up 4.2% or 72,000 over budget, being really driven by our software and support costs. Our accounting platform migrated to a cloud-based version that's more expensive, but also it's more secure. We had one product that was previously covered by grant funds in the first year we use it that we now have had to incorporate into the budget. And we have a Google Education Plus subscription that offers some enhanced offerings and services and products for educators that are better than their core platform that we've incorporated. So those are the key drivers in software. And then our administrative salaries are up at less than inflationary, in part because we have some retirement savings for a position with somebody's retiring. The replacement cost will be less than that person. Our teaching and instructional support is up $522,000 or 2.5% over the 25 budget. The salary piece is up $345,000 or 2.1%. That includes a reduction in 0.92 FTEs, and that comes across multiple positions in quarter and, in one case, less than a quarter increment. An additional piece that's helping in this area is we have, you might recall we talked about a non-resident tuition fund. It was established a couple years ago in the region. We have students from other towns attending our Pathways program. And we have one more student attending next year, and we're able to support that student without any additional costs. So the revenue we have from that serves as an expense offset. We also have some savings on replacement hires that are allowing us to deliver a salary increase of 2.1%. while that also factors in a 3% COLA and step and lane advancement. Our supplies, materials, equipment budget is primarily driven, it's up $118,000, primarily driven by replacing the interactive boards with modern technology. These boards are 10 years old. Some of them are failing. It's not current technology, and this will enable us to replace what's on the 4th floor currently. We might look to use these funds for the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor in the next 2 years after that. And then we have a slight reduction of a quarter FTE in non-teacher salaries in this area as well. Our other school service is up 9%. This is one of the key drivers. It's being driven by a couple things. The special ed transportation costs is mostly formula driven by the CASE collaborative assessment. They do all of our in-district transportation. Some of this is based on prior year student miles is the primary factor. They've also had surpluses at the collaborative that they're required to give as discounts to its member districts that we've had in the past that are not anticipated next year. So it's kind of artificially tamped down what our assessment was in prior years. So some of this is a correction this year. Our athletic coaches is up 58%, about 9% increase. In our previous contract, we benchmark and adjust our athletic coaches' salaries with those member towns I showed on a previous slide, and we tag their salaries as the median between the 3rd and 4th highest pay rate across those districts. So in doing that benchmarking with those other districts, it resulted, in order to come up to between 3rd and 4th, halfway between 3rd and 4th, it resulted in a 9% increase. Part of this is because we only benchmark every 3 years. When we move forward in the contract, we've tied it to COLA. So instead of seeing 9% in one given year, you will see 3% over each year. We've also added an assistant athletic director for $60,000. We've had increased number of activities, in part because lack of referee availability, but we've also added programs, including unified sports. This will help ease the workload. There's a lot of weekend work for our current assistant athletic director, and this is partly in an attempt to avoid kind of complete burnout and to redistribute the work a little bit more equitably. Then our regular transportation is up a modest amount, primarily inflationary. Our maintenance and operations is up 4.7%, or $108,000 over FY25's budget. Some of this is IT networking costs to add cyber threat detection services and support, which is more extensive than just virus software. Our heating costs are up $13,000 or 11%. We had a 30 or 36-month contract that expired, so we had the benefit of no increases for a period of time, so that's catching up with us in this cycle. The town of Concord is rolling out a stormwater assessment, and we received an estimate from them that would cost the region about $12,000 a year, so we've budgeted that, which was not previously part of our budget. And then the remainder of the increase in this area is for contractual wage increases for our custodial team and our maintenance team. Our fixed charges are up $104,000. It's only 2.3% over last year's budget. Some of that is medical insurance. We did get guidance. We might actually be a little bit light here. We budgeted a 10% increase. First, I should say the 6.1% also factors in we had a little bit less enrollment than we budgeted. So, but just on a rate perspective, our rates, we budgeted 10%. The guidance from Maya, our insurer, was 14.8%. So we'll have to figure out a way to make that up. We're not going to go back and change our budget at this point, but there is a little bit of a delta there that we'll need to manage.
Bob, quick question on that, because I know I was at the Concord Select Board last night, and then we did this whole review with Carlisle last week. So I think this is my third time seeing this, and that's okay. But one thing the question about the medical insurance, do we come together with the town manager? I mean, is it an aggregate, or are we doing a separate, do we get any economies of scale by working with the town?
We have a collaborative
Yeah,
agreement
that's what I
where
thought.
Concord and the region go together to the market to get pricing. We're also, as an administration, we're concerned that if we didn't do that, one, we think we get some favorability
Yeah.
from scale. And second, we feel like if you're an employee in Concord Carlisle Regional versus Concord, like, do we have employees feeling
Sure.
like they're treated differently across the two districts?
No, it's great. I just meant more with the town, but it sounds like we're already doing that, so, okay.
So we've also, in another, insurance seems across the board to be increasing in our property and liability. We're budgeting for a $42,000 increase. And to some extent, this is driven by claims, but to some extent, it's the market and when they're reinsuring large losses. So hopefully this stabilizes going forward, but that's the guidance we've received from them. And then I've also budgeted $31,000 for rental costs for the lease of launch retail space. This is the first year that we'll be budgeting for that. These are offsets by reductions in Social Security tax, which we no longer are contributing to. Municipalities can be exempt if they opt into OBRA, which is basically a contribution to a portable retirement plan for people who work less than half-time and aren't eligible for our pension retirements. We also had a decrease in our Concord retirement assessment. I'm assuming some of this is that they're close to fully funded, that we're seeing some benefit from that, and hopefully that continues. So those are two drivers that are helping bring this down to the number that it is overall, 2.3% increase. Our fixed assets last year had a one-time investment in computer lab hardware that we don't need to carry over to next year. The idea of a zero-based budget is not to carry things over if they're one-time in nature. So we've removed that from the budget. So that's why it's going down 6.5%. Our debt service is, big picture, it's, I guess the point at the bottom is it's level principal declining interest. So over time, you're going to see our debt, unless we add something new, continue to go down. The principal payments are steady, but the interest is less. We are now in FY26 starting to repay the Access Road bond anticipation note. We had a landfill remediation ban that will be fully paid off in FY26. So we're in decent shape here. Out-of-district tuitions, as we've talked about this, if anybody's listening for the first time, this is really what our key driver is. We've had some of these changes have happened. We built our budget in December, November, well, the fall into the winter of 2023 into early 2024 calendar year. Since then, we've had a few students go out of district, and then I think one or two might have happened at the beginning of this fiscal year. The bottom line is that we have, I think it's 4 to 5 more students out of district than we budgeted for. Our gross out-of-district tuition costs are $3,541,000. I think this is worded wrong. It actually increased. It says decreased on the slide. Sorry about that. But the gross tuition costs increased $462,000, about 13% due to these additional placements. We do have offsets in the budget for circuit breaker and IDA, but those are relatively anticipated to be relatively flat. So on a net basis, it's a significant budget hit. 28% overall for out-of-district tuitions. The last slide is not special education driven. These are students, any school district across the states, the students can elect to go to a school choice school, that's another public school district, or to a charter school. And so when that happens, our district pays the tuitions. I will say that on a big picture perspective, we have very few students that fall into this category, but there are increases for those this year.
And Minuteman is separate from this, right?
Minuteman's technical, and that would be in the town budget for Town of Concord, Town of Carlisle. This shows the split between salary and non-salary, and really what's driving the bottom number, the non-salary, is the out-of-district tuitions. You know, that's $462,000 out of that $859,000 increase. The shelter, this is an update on where we are in FY25. And again, this could all go away in FY26 if what the guidance we've received comes to fruition, that it closes in August. But this gives you a picture. We're at, this year, about $72,000 in grant funding, and we anticipate transportation costs of about $69,000, which are unbudgeted and we need to offset. Our OPEB trust is 60% funded. Our OPEB trust value as of June 30, 2024 is a little bit over $10 million, and our liability is $17.4 million. This is, I asked the consultant, she said we were in the 95th percentile statewide for school districts in towns, and our budgeted contribution right now to add to the trust is $425,000. You know, if the trust makes, you know, 6-7%, that's $607,000 that gets added to it as well, if the investment returns are that level.
So this could be a buffer if you needed to move some money around?
Yeah, well, I do have a slide that talks about where, and this would be the one area we could pull from. Mm-hmm. So inter-regional budget is different than this. From a school perspective, we don't typically, you know, in a municipal budget revenues, but for the region we do, and this is our revenue picture. It's relatively flat based on the state guidance. The one thing I would point out is the charter reimbursement. When your charter tuitions go up, you get some relief from the state in the first year it happens, and then it tapers off. So that's why that increases substantially. I think the guidance that I saw from the state, they actually suggest that we might get a little bit more Chapter 70 money, but a little bit less 71 money. So you know, they'll offset. And then we're continuing to use E&D to fund the operating budget to the tune of $300,000. This is a view that just enables the towns to understand how we arrive at the assessment, taking the budget at the top, deducting all the revenues we receive, and then showing what the total assessment is. You can see that the overall assessment, you know, the budget's $40,479,952. When you subtract all the revenue sources that are not taxpayer funded, but coming through, not town taxpayer funded, but through other sources, we have an assessment that's $35,602,708. That's an increase of 4.08% versus last year. For Concord, that's a 4.37% increase. For Carlisle, it's a 3.15% increase, in part due to a modest shift in student enrollment.
Bob, just while we're on the slide, and I know I'm jumping in the agenda, but just because it's a question. So when I'm looking at this, and Brian, jump in if I'm missing something, but when we do put in the lens of the amenities building, because it is our only capital project coming up, we have, and again, I'm not trying to steal your thunder from your liaison update, but Carlisle has two paths to funding the portion for the amenities building. One would be a partial funding from CPA funding, and we would take the rest to a warrant, but it'd be fairly minimal if we're awarded the money. The other path is to ask for the full allotment that we would be paying for the assessment of the amenities building, so it would be hypothetically no cost. Now, I know we're still waiting to hear back from, I'll say, statewide officials on how we split this, but my assumption from reading this is that if Concord, and we're going to find out probably by the end of this meeting, does not award CPA funding, or at least even lets us put in a late bid, and you have to fund it and you take on debt, would any of that interest be passed on to us in Carlisle?
The guidance we're getting suggests that that's, if we do it the method that we normally do, that's what happened. We're asking also if there's alternative methods, you know, other ways that we can share with both towns. Bottom line is both towns are going to need to agree to fund this. You can put strings on your,
Sure.
to say we'll fund it if it's funded proportionately by each town. We don't want to move forward with something that either town doesn't want to move forward with. We want both towns to be on the same page.
I just mean if we, and I'm saying we because I am a Carlisle resident, right? So if we get all of our CPA funding between 250 and 430 or whatever it might be, and it covers the quote-unquote percentage, but then we would take on any interest and debt, hypothetically, that if Concord is going to pass, I feel like they're going to pass it, whether it comes through a warrant article for the full amount, or we do get, or you get CPA, not you and I don't live there, but Concord gets CPA funding. I'm just looking at this, and it sounds like either way, because this is a question that we're going to get in Carlisle, we would still be paying your interest. Concord's, not yours, sorry, Concord's interest.
I would say we still,
Concord's interest, I'm confused.
If you take on debt, so if you don't,
Region,
well, so that's the question.
yeah, it's the region.
No, I understand,
Individual towns, we are bound by regional agreement.
correct.
Look us this way, blah, 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 based on enrollment.
No, I understand the regional agreement, trust me, I'm telling you the perception that Brian and I are getting feedback from both our town manager and
We just have to explain them as this is
we
all
do.
law.
We do. I just think given the climate in both towns, this is why I've been so active on advocating for CPA funding for both towns. It's just a really tough climate, and that's what people are asking.
Right.
Well, yeah, but let's just see what happens tonight, and then we'll.
No, for sure, for sure. I'm just,
really isn't-
while we're here, I'm just asking the question.
Right.
That's all it is.
I think just to Julie's point, where we see Carlisle going is that the Carlisle assessed portion of the project, 23.37% of up to 1.855 million.
Well, let's see where we are. There wasn't this outrage about the bus depot in Concord.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
So-
that that portion, if, there's a potential that that portion is just going to be fully CPA.
No, I get it, but let's just see where we land tonight, and then we can, you work on.
No,
your-
I get it. I'm saying, I'm looking at this, I've been through it, I get it. I understand the regional agreement.
get it, but-
I just wanted, I'm just
Crystal clear.
saying it out loud because we get the questions a lot.
Yep.
And I think, I understand the past. I'm looking forward, though, and
No,
it's,
but, I mean, it's not flexible or fungible or
I
anything.
get
like
all that.
It's-
I get all of it, but we're getting to a point where the taxes in both towns are getting so high
Yeah.
that people just want more explanation. And saying it's in the regional agreement, sometimes just people want more clarity because
The only way we can, provide funds to projects like this, like, that are eligible for CPC funds, that's really the only way that I am aware of, or
No, I get
through
it.
some patchwork of fundraising.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
I mean, if it ends up 250 one district, 750 the other, you're pretty much at the regional breakup.
I'm fine with that. It's more if Concord does zero through CPA, which is a very good possibility. And again, no, I'm not throwing shade. I'm more just trying to figure out the narrative. I get it. Let's just move on. I understand.
Just-
Julie, can I just interrupt?
if the-
Can you hear me?
Oh, Tracy's talking. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, I think
Hold on
that,
just a second,
Julie, you
Tracy.
bring up a good
Just get-
point, and I
turn your
do
volume
think
up.
that maybe we just need to get some legal guidance on this also. But
I'll
we
start
do
over.
need to be respectful of, Carlisle doing their share. I get it too, original agreement, but if we need to get legal guidance, then we should be doing that.
My excellent hearing, I can't hear that.
Tracy, I think I heard you, but go ahead, Brian.
I think the long and short was just getting legal guidance. So that
Legal guidance, yes.
Their understanding.
Correct.
The-
We've reached out to attorney
Yep.
and also to Department of Elementary Secondary Ed, so we'll,
Yep.
Yep.
But
I'm
I
starting
just-
to regret my question. I understand. I understand. We're and everything coming through. Let's move on. I get it.
This summary shows the debt service, shows our budget increase at the top line without debt factored in. This is typically how the town of Concord looks. And I think Carlisle mentioned this at their FinCom meeting too, that would be how they would look at it going forward. It looks at our budget increase relative to guideline, and then the bottom one factors in debt service. And again, the key driver here is the out-of-district tuitions. This shows the, it's kind of a slight change, but the overall enrollment between the two districts from year to year.
Yep.
And this is our slide that we walked through, and we wanted to share this so that we could be transparent to the finance committees of how we came up with what our increase was, and wanted to make sure that we were meeting guidelines, so we kind of walked through and shared these numbers. So we basically, starting with our overall assessment, back out debt service, to arrive at our assessments excluding debt, and then we excluded the out-of-district tuition increase. And so we shared this with finance committees, and we had feedback that we were in alignment. The bottom piece, though, shows, overall we're in alignment. The bottom piece shows that there is a slight enrollment shift, that when you look at it across the two towns, one town receives a slight benefit and the other slight detriment from the enrollment shift. Our excess and deficiency, this is our regional school districts. It's like our equivalent of free cash, although we're a little bit more limited in how much we can carry. Our cap is 5% of our operating and capital budget for the current year. We were certified last June 30th this is June 30th, 2023, at just a little bit under 1.8 million, or 4.7%. Our cap is a little bit under 1.9 million. That would be the 5% cap. We have filed with the Division of Local Services, which is a department within the Department of Mass Department of Revenue. We're awaiting them to certify. Because they haven't certified, when you do vote the budget, I'll have to ask you to re-vote it at some point after they certify. Our OPEB, so we looked at this and said, well, if we had to cut, what would we cut? And the two things that we looked at, that we would look at first, are our OPEB OPEB trust, potentially reducing that by $50,000, and then our investment in replacing the interactive boards, we would cut in half, $45,000. These are the two items that we targeted, and we'll just wanted to share that. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm ready for any questions folks have.
On the E&D, this is kind of a dumb question, but I feel like, we get your quarterly budget updates, and, sometimes there's overages, underages. Like at the end of the year, if we're over, you'd pull from the E&D to true up?
I can't. I would need to provide, I think it's 45 days notice to the towns to propose that. They would have the ability to call a town meeting to vote it.
Okay.
Or they could say they could just waive it. They have 45 days to respond. So I did this last year for, I sent notification for the exit cost from Minuteman Neshoba Health Group. That really wasn't like a budget. That was a one-time thing, so there was no desire to have a special town meeting. So we would try to avoid that.
Yeah.
That would be like a last resort for, all sorts of things. I would more use that for things like, if we decided we had enough in there, do we want to put some money into capital stabilization or something like that? But yeah, anyways.
Is there a strategy to kind of get pretty close to the max and keep it there?
Yeah, I've tried to, and then if we exceed 5%, we are obligated to return it via a credit to assessments of each town. Mm-hmm. I believe in the following year. So,
okay.
If let's just say this happened next year, we get certified, and we had 300,000 more than the 5%, we would bill you across the two towns 300,000 less than we said in the assessments. So there's a mechanism to make sure we're not accumulating more than 5%.
So I guess I'm just wondering, it's a lot of money to just kind of be sitting there, right? I mean, is it, maybe it's not, I don't know. If you can't really use it without going to get special approval, and it kind of every year sits there, am I not understanding this correctly?
I would say, so the towns probably have 7 to 10% in free cash. Like, they carry a lot more than this in the towns. And I kind of feel like this is our safety net. Like, if something does happen, there is ways to access it.
Sure.
It's kind
just
of
cumbersome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cumbersome. And we also have, circuit breaker reserves that serve as a safety net for special education. And we're also using 300,000 each year in our budget. Like, if we didn't do that, we might want to designate some of this.
Okay.
So.
The auditors, the bond people.
Yeah.
They like it.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm just curious, like, the more I get into the town, I see some pockets of money sitting, and if we could be using it, but, and if you're saying it's smart to keep it there, I'm good with
The
that.
town is whittled away almost down to 6, which is dangerously low.
Okay.
And the people are like, you better,
I just didn't know much about it, so
More
I appreciate, you've seen this 5 times.
it's a rainy day fund. It's, yeah, I mean, it's really important for a municipality. It doesn't, you know, we can't sell more cookies.
Yeah. It does help our bond rating, too. I think that was mentioned, so our.
I think they require, you know, they could give us a big mark.
So, you know, if we were to borrow for some big project, it would help us get a better financing rate.
Put you on the audit committee next year.
Okay. We did this at CPS, it's a public hearing?
Yep, exactly. I just had one last question, then no, it's good, and we can move up. Just because I don't want to state, you already answered my question, but I think, like I said, Brian and I had a chance to do this in Carlisle with the FinCom there. We did one in December, I'm losing track of it, early January with Concord, with their FinCom. I think the only comment I'll make on the 3,000 function was the sped transportation, just working as a group. I know MASC is actively pursuing legislation and actively engaging with it, and I just want to make a public comment that we are also going to be working with legislators and encouraging MASC to continue to advocate for that 100% reimbursement on the transportation. So that does not go unnoticed.
As Rob Mariano said, the whole thing's flipped up in the air now.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Exactly.
And then the other piece, I asked Bob the other day, a very similar question that you did, actually yesterday. Days are all running together, about what would happen if the Department of Education were to collapse. And I just don't think there's a stabilization fund that we can look into, nor do we want to focus on what we can control right now. But I think monitoring it and staying in touch and asking good questions is just good stewardship of what we're doing. So, okay. Are there any public comments or questions while we're here on the budget? Okay.
Any online?
None so far.
Okay.
No one's raised their hand.
Do I need to get a movement to close the public hearing? Or can we just move it, change it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, we have to close the hearing.
Yeah. Can I get
Yeah.
a movement to close the public hearing?
Motion to
Motion
close the
to-
public hearing for the Regional School District FY26 budget.
Second.
No discussion, obviously. No discussion. I think we're good, right?
We had to
Roll
do
call.
Roll call. Yep.
Hurcheck, aye.
Tracy?
Morano, I.
Thank you.
Morano, I.
Rainy eye.
Viola, aye.
Watterson, aye.
Okay, great. All right, Chris Nochi. We'll move on to recognition. We're excited to have you here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks for coming.
Make sure the microphone is pointed to you so everyone can hear you online.
Will do.
You know about that.
Yes. Well, yeah, thanks for the invite. The invite came as in the wake of our invitation to perform at a national conference with our concert band, and I thought I would take the opportunity to give a bigger brag overall to some of the stuff that's been going on with our bands and orchestras at CCHS. But I'll keep it rather brief and just kind of move through chronologically. On March 4th, we have a pretty big concert that's being titled Sound Revolutions with Lexington High School, where we are going to be premiering 2 new works for band, one being premiered by Lexington's Combined Bands, the other being premiered by the CC Concert Band. The title of the work we're premiering is Revolutionary Music for Concord 1775, which was composed for us by world-renowned band composer Andrew Boyson, and Concord 250 funded that commission, for which we're really grateful. The concert is free and open to the public, but seating is going to be really limited. We've got, I think, 200 musicians in the concert and 600 seats in that auditorium. So if if you'd like to go, let me let me know and I'll reserve you a seat because they're going to go
I
fast.
assume it'd be viewable at some point. Huh?
Yeah, so Minuteman Media will be live streaming and recording the concert as well, and
Awesome.
we'll have that all set in place. The commission that we're working on is really exciting. Andrew Boyson wrote that instead of doing a musical kind of documentation of the revolution, he focused on the more universal and abstract sense of defiance and moral courage that lay behind that revolution. There's an imaginative use of the Concord hymn throughout the work, if you're familiar with that. And the piece is heavily influenced by Carl Hughes's seminal work for band titled Music for Prague, 1968. And Hughes has a quote about the piece, which I think kind of informs the work that you may hear in the fourth. And he writes, "It is not as beautiful a music as one always would like to hear, but we cannot always paint flowers. We cannot always speak in poetry about beautiful clouds. There are sometimes we would like to express the fight for freedom." And that's really what this work does. It's really exciting. The kids are enjoying working on it. It's really tailor-made for us too, which is a real joy. So the event that got me here is the NAFME Eastern Division Conference, which happens every, I think, 2 to 4 years. It's the biggest national level that we have for our music students to compete and perform. And so first of all, we had several students accepted in the honor ensembles, similar to our state regional festivals. For band, Anthony Babu, class of 26. Courtney Cockstein, class of 25. For choir, Benjamin Pixley, class of 25, and Matthew Chen, class of 25. So that's really exciting for them to be able to participate at that level with their peers along the East Coast. The CC Concert Band was invited to perform as a featured ensemble as well at this conference, where we will be performing at the Connecticut Convention Center on Thursday, April 24th. And we'll be playing a bunch of really exciting repertoire, including David Maslanka's masterpiece, Give Us This Day, which is a short symphony for wind band, Jennifer Jolly's powerful Never Forget, Never Remember. And we're also, what I'm most excited about is we're delivering a consortium premiere of another new work for band. This piece is called Onda Tropical. It's a accordion concerto that was commissioned by Dartmouth College as part of the Mexican Repertoire Initiative they started there. And we were able to join a consortium with Dartmouth and Yale, which is pretty good company, to commission a couple more movements of the work. And we're going to be bringing in an accordionist from Mexico City to perform with us, because it's really hard to find button accordion players in the Northeast. And both the accordion player and composer are going to be spending a little time in Concord leading up to the event, rehearsing with our groups and getting to work with us, which will be great. And then, of course, we're excited to be planning our return to Japan in 2026, where we'll be performing with our band, choir, and orchestra, which CC's never done before.
That's great.
That's the update on the...
And Patriots Day, you.
Oh, yeah, we'll be there. We will be there, yep. We will be all over that.
With your new stuff.
Yes, oh yes, yep. All the harnesses and equipment that both the district and the town provided, which is
Awesome.
exciting.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
very much.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you all. Appreciate
And
the
there's a
invite.
slight chance that my plans might make it so that I can go on April 24th, so I appreciate
Lovely.
the invitation. if
Yeah,
I
we
can
have.
still run.
I made sure to reserve some extra badges just in case, because they're sticklers down there about that. So
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Welcome.
you very much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you coming to
No shortage of
First.
accomplishments, that's wonderful. Do we have the students online? I know it's later, much later than we usually.
Yes.
All right,
I
there we
believe
go.
it's still here.
Welcome.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
hold on just a second. Yeah, do you want
Well,
mind?
I can't get the volume button working on that, and I was afraid to exit out of this.
We're just trying to get the volume up in the room so we can hear you. Hold on just a second. You might have to escape just so it goes out of full screen. Yeah.
I think you need to go into audio settings in Zoom, and then you can actually adjust it. Not on the computer, because then it might have feedback. Yeah, and then you can bring the volume on Zoom.
Okay, try now.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes,
Good
now
now?
we can hear you. Great, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So here is our student update for this week. There's a good amount going on. Maddie, do you want to start with the swastika assembly?
Yes. So last week we had an assembly on Thursday where a speaker from a Jewish organization talked about the swastika and how it has and is used as a symbol of hate. And she also discussed anti-Semitism and how students can combat it at school. And it was a really interesting assembly, and it stimulated a lot of student discussion and participation.
And there are also recently a couple of arts-related events and accomplishments. You can see here in this picture over here that those are various pieces made by students in the fine arts department at CCHS, and many of them were recognized with various Scholastic Art Awards, which are obviously very prestigious, including, I believe that this piece here, if you can see it, there was one called Erupting Jars by a student called Roman Lin, who earned a gold key for their work. So that's very exciting. And for the performing arts, I know Mr. Nosey just actually mentioned some of this, but we recently also had the All-State auditions for the MMEA All-State auditions, which is like in the fall, we had senior district auditions, and the top 50% were then invited to audition for all states, and various band, orchestra, and chorus students were all accepted to the festival, to the All-State Festival, which will be in March. And that's obviously a really exciting accomplishment. We get to perform in, I believe, Mechanics Hall or Symphony Hall, somewhere in Boston, but it's definitely a really awesome opportunity. Yeah, and Zaria for Black History Month stuff.
On Saturday, February started, which means it's Black History Month. Currently, the school is doing promotion slideshows on the TVs in the cafeteria, showing like some reason about what Black History Month is and why it's important, and along with some trivia. BSU actually today asked faculty to print out a quote from a famous Black individual that resonates with them and they connect with, and put it on their doors. And I've already seen some go around the school, and it looks like it's traveling fast. And I think it's a really easy way to talk about Black history, and I feel like it's really fun to see all the teachers participate. And yeah.
The girls swim and dive team won the DCL championships this past weekend, and I believe it was their second in a row. So this is a really exciting time for the girls and for everybody who's been following their team. And for course selections, we just had the portal open, I think a couple of days ago, so students can now choose their classes for the upcoming year. And for juniors, since it's a really big deal, it's our senior year, we've been having meetings with our guidance counselors to discuss all our options and finalize our decisions.
Felicity and I are participating in a DEIB film project that encourages students to film and share parts of themselves in and out of school. It's supposed to really encourage belonging in our community, and I think the project ends sometime in March and is going to be screened sometime after that, so that's something to look forward to.
Yes.
Oh, in Shrek.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course. It wouldn't be a student update without our shameless CC Theater plug. Shrek auditions start tomorrow, and both Felicity and I are auditioning. Not tomorrow, but we are auditioning. I know that so many students who haven't participated in CC Theater are auditioning this time, and I'm actually so excited. I think this is going to be a great production, and everybody keep your calendars open, and please come, and yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest, probably the biggest, big name productions that CC Theater has done, at least, during our last 4 years, I think. And it's definitely very, family oriented. So we hope that a lot of, the Concord and Carlisle communities will definitely be coming out to support us. Also, upcoming is the Lunar New Year Festival at CCHS, which is hosted by the Far East Association and is also in collaboration with a lot of groups at the elementary schools, I believe, which is a great way to kind of share, I guess, spread the wealth across the district. And this year is the year of the snake, so it's very exciting, and it's going to be a really fun event with lots of cultural activities and, of course, food, because you need food at these events. So, yeah.
A week from Friday is Valentine's Day, and I know a lot of my friends are buying carnations to give out to their friends during their classes, and I'm really excited for that because usually there's always somebody in my friend group who just gives me one and I never know about it. And I know that they go to other school events, like the money raised for it goes to other school events, so a lot of people are encouraged to participate, and it's just a really fun way to have fun in the community. So yeah.
And to wrap it up, we have February break coming up on the 15th of February, which is really exciting. And I think it'll be nice to go into it on the day after Valentine's Day as well. So I think that's everything for us. Thank you so much.
That was a great update. Thank you. One question. When is the actual Shrek performance?
Yes, that is May 8th through 10th.
Awesome.
And I'm doing the publicity managing again, so like we will have this shameless plug every single meeting, so don't worry, you will not forget.
Wonderful. This is a great update. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for helping, Andrew. We'll move into public comment in just a second. All right. Did Tracy get promoted online?
No, I don't have, I'm not.
Okay, I don't have the ability to do that. I'm not on the. We can duck our head in a second. All right.
I don't see Tracy online.
She said she moved to her phone.
Oh, okay.
Over to Bob. Once we can find her, we can promote her.
4 or 5 days.
Maybe. Okay. Okay, public comment. I have one up here for Wendy Holt. Come on up.
Is this on? Yep. Great. Go for it. My name is Wendy Holt. I live at 30 Dover Street in Concord. Both my children went through the Concord Public Schools from kindergarten to graduation. My work is in public policy regarding mental health and addiction treatment. During the last meeting, I learned about a number of school activities to foster diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. That impressed me. The DEI director is taking a systemic approach to implementation of DEIB principles and practices through teacher training and selection of a library of multicultural reading materials. It is very significant that the school system acknowledges the troubling disparity in MCAS scores between Black students and others, and is working in several different ways to address these gaps. I appreciate these and the many other efforts I did not mention. I also heard school committee members seek guidance from the METCO executive director on how they could improve in DEIB and what other school systems might provide a model. However, what I did not hear was any reference to the priorities of the METCO PTG and its high school delegate about how you would specifically do better on the issues they raised. In my work in behavioral health, we have followed the principle of nothing about us without us, meaning that in any planning or evaluation work, we routinely include people who experience living with mental illness and or addiction and their families, and we are guided by them. If you don't directly grapple with the experience of the METCO PTG and its representative who resigned before bringing in a new representative, you risk again reaching an impasse. Addressing racism is challenging, and setbacks are not a reason for shame and should not be a reason for giving up, but neither should setbacks be passed over. Learning from problems is imperative to realizing our school system's positive vision for improvement. I respectfully suggest that you bring back KW Diversity Company and CW Blake and Associates, or another independent DIEB expert who is a person of color, and have them review documents that define the role of METCO representatives and listen to recordings of last semester's meetings. They are likely to have suggestions about how roles and meetings can be structured to best manage the challenging differences between formal roles of the school committee members and the advisory capacity of METCO representatives. And they may identify some unintended microaggressions. My company has found such advice valuable as we have faced challenges in building a multiracial staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions online? I don't see any.
There's one hand raised.
You see one?
Hold on a second. I'll be able to see.
Might also be. I'm sorry, I'm not on I'm having technical issues with Zoom on my computer, so I'm deferring to others.
Promoted.
Okay. Oh, yep, hold on just a second. We had a power outage earlier in the evening that has thrown the whole system off. Hold on.
She's declining to be promoted.
Okay. Back down.
Okay. All right. So we tried to promote, but could not. All right. Any other questions in the room or comments? Okay. That closes the public comment section. We move on to correspondence. Did you have any at the CPS?
I did not, and Carrie didn't let me know of any. So if we missed it, I apologize, and we'll address it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see any come in. In terms of correspondence, we were copied on correspondence that went to the high school principals that the high school principals responded to regarding the assembly at the high school. And again, I would say that it's been deferred to the high school principals, but we can respond as needed. Okay, so moving into the superintendent chairs and liaisons update. I know Dr. Hunter and Alexa are just returning from the CPC meeting, so why don't I let you guys get settled and I can go first from a chairs update. So from a regional standpoint, I think there's a lot of programming going on, as we've been talking about. I had the opportunity to listen to Wes Woodson talk on anxiety at the media center or the library a couple weeks ago, and it was wonderful. I came with another parent from Carlisle. Really well attended. I was skeptical when I walked in and saw somebody that was not a parent talking about parenting, and I walked away completely changed. He was absolutely wonderful. I'm really happy I had a chance to go, and I saw on Instagram the reaction from the students who had the opportunity to attend his assemblies during the day. Absolutely fantastic. So I applaud the Concord Ed and the administration for bringing him to Concord. On that same vein, we have the Williams Be Yourself Challenge, also known as the WBYC, out of Carlisle. It does a speaker series every year. This year, there's actually one on Monday. I would encourage you to buy tickets. It's a great fundraiser. It's Monday, and the focus is on special education, specifically ADHD and dyslexia. I'm planning on going. That's great. We had the Carlisle FinCom meeting, as I mentioned. Both Brian and I attended with Dr. Hunter and Bob. It was great, lots of questions, really engaging. That's why I didn't have as many comments as I usually do when we were going through it. We've been through it a lot, and I applaud. Again, I think everyone was really pleased with it. I just would mention again, the reason we're asking so many questions is Carlisle just does not have the ability to look at business opportunities like Concord does, so every dollar counts. Not that it doesn't in Concord, it's just really tight. So we appreciated the ability to have the conversation and really exhaust it. On the same team, we've talked about meetings. We're going to do one in Boston at our next meeting. I did not realize we've never had a meeting in Carlisle. At least I don't think ever. So we would love to host everyone in April at the town hall for a school committee meeting. one of the things that Dr. Hunter and Carrie and I talked about yesterday was maybe moving one of the meetings. So if I don't know if we want to talk about that, but we'd like to move the meeting. I think it was supposed to be April 8th, but that's your election.
Correct.
So we'd like to move it to April 10th. People need to check their calendars, but if we do move it to April 10th, we can host it in Carlisle. So it'd be a Thursday instead of a Tuesday. So that's something to consider. And then as far as everything else, a lot of my time has been focused really on the CPA and the amenities building because it's 'tis the season for capital projects and just trying to find a way to lower taxpayer burden as much as possible. So that's my update from a chair's perspective. I don't know if you got anything from Carrie from a CPS?
She didn't give me anything. I mean, I'm going to steal thunder, but like we had the tour of CMS.
Oh, right. Please.
Right after our last meeting, I guess it was the next morning, and it was an awesome tour. So fun to see the building come to life, and everything was on and lit, and it was warm, and it was just really fun. So what are we, 8 days from occupancy?
8 school days, yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming.
It's coming.
I'm happy for you guys. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you both for coming. Carlisle was represented. It was great.
Yeah, it was great.
It was wonderful to see it.
So Julie, that is the town hearing, April 10th, for the town hearing for the Finance Committee in Concord.
I knew there was something. There's so much stuff going on. Okay, so that's not going to work.
Unless they've changed, unless that changes. That's the current calendar.
Okay, back to the drawing board.
Yep.
We're going to do the 9th, but
move
that's
it
a
anyway.
Carlisle meeting, so we can't do it then.
There's a public hearing that week.
Carlisle then.
Yep.
That's probably the easiest.
What is?
If the
Right, but we have
now Carlisle School Committee's the
Wednesday, April 9th.
So that's public hearing week, so we try not to have in Concord. It's
Okay.
9th and 10th.
And then when school, yeah, we could do it the following week. School vacation week is the week
You have to look
after.
at
I know, I'm not going to jump into anything here.
Yeah,
All right, so we won't do it the 10th, but we'll come back with other dates and send them out.
Desires there.
Yeah, no, it's great.
There's a will.
We'd love to have you. We'll actually have a store open by then. Clark Farm Market will be
Julie,
open.
can you hear me?
Kimball's maybe, I don't know.
Julie, can you hear me or no?
We're going to have to have some back meetings somehow or another.
Yep. There's been no shortage of back-to-back meetings this year.
You might have to back it up to the week before.
That's okay. What's that?
Tracy.
Oh, Tracy's trying to say something? Okay, hold on a
Sorry,
second.
I was just going to say, could we back to back with your Carlisle meeting
Sorry.
on that
Hold
Wednesday?
on, Tracy, we're getting you.
And do like the region, and then you guys go to Carlisle, and then we finish with Concord? You can't hear me?
We can hear you now. Yep, perfect.
Okay, so did you hear me? I said, could we back it up on that Wednesday Carlisle meeting? So we could do the region, you guys could go to Carlisle, we could do Concord after that?
What day? What?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So we could do the region first. So another thing we could do that,
But I mean, we should all be able to participate in these hearings in Concord.
oh, I see, you want to go for the town.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board on that. I see what you're saying. Tracy, we're going to revisit it, but that's good feedback. Thank you. All right. Laura, do you want to take over the superintendent update?
Yeah, I'm going to stay super high level. To Andrew's point, the middle school is really coming right at us. We're really excited. Mr. Cameron and I held a Zoom meeting with 140 parents last night to talk about the transition and a lot of logistics, obviously, how to get on and off the campus now with the rearranging and all that. It was really great. The high school is in course selection time right now, so they've held curriculum nights. They went to Carlisle, and then last week they were back here in Concord. A lot of positive responses from incoming ninth grade parents as they navigate the process for the first time. We have our first of 5 multicultural nights. Each school holds one. Alcott's is on Friday, so they'll be our early goers. We're excited for what that brings. The families bring usually delicious foods of their background and some other things along the way. And then my last comment is we're really trying to talk through artificial intelligence and its role in the schools. Today I launched an invitation to the staff to who would want to be part of an AI committee. To me, it's really about the opportunities it brings while we navigate the challenges and not the other way around. I feel like it can be easy to flip that and get stuck on the challenges. So we're going to do a lot of listening and learning first. I've actually got some coursework that I've signed up for that anyone on the committee will participate in, which is really about the amazing opportunities this brings. It's what our kids are going to know and go to, and it's a game changer, right? So I think we have to see it that way while we remind them plagiarism's still plagiarism. So a lot of exciting, I think there. My goal would then be to bring you a recommended idea of a draft policy by the close of the school year. We definitely are feeling a need for some guideline here, but I also want to have it be an informed guideline. So more to come on that.
That's great.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you.
Liaison update, do you, I'm looking at you two because I think given it's budget season, we would love an update on the campus completion.
So do you?
Sure.
Want
The
to go first, or do you want to go first?
CPC unfortunately voted to decline to consider our application just now, understandably citing process.
Sure.
And yeah, that's really it. And we are hoping, in our meeting on Monday, we discussed that we'll soon be sort of pivoting to phase 2, which will be to focus on, getting some momentum behind fundraising for the track.
Alexa, what was the vote?
5-4.
Okay.
2 people switched their vote ironically, and then, because it went 4-4 last time, so 2 of those people swapped their vote, and then the individual who was absent at the last meeting came in and voted no.
Okay.
I think it's worth noting, it's not about the quality or need, it's about the process and missing
No,
the
I
date.
get that.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to say that in this context.
To continue though on a positive note, Carlisle CPC met last night, and they were very positive about the project, and so it will be moving forward to town meeting. The biggest concern is there was guidance from the Community Preservation Coalition that office space, which the trainer's room would be considered office space for the purposes of this, would basically disqualify the project from consideration for CPA. So if we do want to still consider CPA funding, we need to adapt the plans accordingly, because we just can't include it and still have it count. But
Okay.
And you mentioned that recreational storage space does continue to keep the project in compliance.
recreation, yeah, he was funny. He said storage, if it was maintenance storage, would be a no. Recreation storage would be fine, and it's all just a matter of what CPA funds can be used for.
Understood.
But,
Great.
yeah, and they've invited us in early March to go back and to give another presentation. Hopefully we'll have even more information in the next month, and to further answer questions. I am not able to make that one, but it sounds like Julie
We'll be there.
to go in early March.
Interesting, storage isn't considered recreation or education, so.
I'm sorry?
Storage is not considered recreation nor education. Or, I mean, I'm just curious. I'm a
It
little
was, how is the storage being used? If it's storage to hold sports equipment and things for the fields, then that's okay. If it
Okay.
was storage for,
Paper towels.
or lawnmower, or like,
Right.
or that's where it wouldn't be.
Yeah, okay.
It's like it's a very fine line.
grass seed, oh no, so what is for?
I'm sorry?
Grass seed, no.
Maybe storage just for cleaning the facility, like, which is related to the
And there
facility.
is a
Yeah.
janitor's
Okay.
closet, and that's, and that was fine. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's been a lot of learning in the last.
Oh, all kinds of fun.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
It's great.
That's my only update, though.
Okay. I mean, I think no shortage of effort. I think I'm just hopeful that we can get this approved for the ADA compliant bathrooms. I mean, that's the most important. So if we have to sacrifice other things, that's, to me, it's not as big of a deal. And I would just echo what Dr. Hunter says. I am very grateful that the CPC even let us come forward. They've been wonderful to work with. We did something that was a little bit off cycle and probably just took people by surprise, but I still think it was great that we did it. Just trying to leave no stone unturned. So thank you for all the efforts, both of you, as well as Tracy. I know you're out there somewhere.
It's actually on camera. So.
I actually am on. I had a select board update too when you are ready to move on.
We got to get you, the volume in the room is funny from the power outage, so just hold on a second. We want to hear from you.
Getting quicker. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry about this. I had a select board update too, just whenever you're done with the CPC.
No, you go for it.
Just last night at select board meeting, just two things that came up. Doug Whitefields are being scheduled for replacement, which is a town project over the summer. And then the RFP went out for the cell tower on the landfill, which is really exciting. They had 3 responses, and I think that they're going to award it to someone. So more to come on that. So hopefully we'll have improved cell service on our campus and at Alcott.
That's great.
Good news.
And Tracy, what was the select board's discussion regarding Julie's letter?
Oh, Julie came to the meeting last night. She can speak to, she commented back on her letter. Sorry, my dog is working.
It's okay. I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, no, Julie responded to her letter. I mean, I think that we were looking for some support with the CPC for this special permit, and that didn't move forward. But Julie, you can comment on that.
Okay. I need to turn it down so you don't have to listen. So again, I think just about everyone in the room is in support of the project. They just weren't in support of the CPC. Nobody wanted to come out and make the CPC team feel pushed in any direction. But everyone did make it known that they're in support of the project.
Right. They wanted to stay in their lane, which is fair.
Yeah. I think what I found challenging is everyone wants to stay in their lane, but there is a section of the CPA application asking for support from groups. But it's tricky because they're asking for support of the project, not necessarily support of off-cycle asks. Right. But it is a fine line. Yeah. Yep. But no, that's kind of the.
They didn't take a vote or anything.
They didn't take a vote. Cam came out and said he was open to it. Cameron, because again, I think there's the same reason that we heard from the Carlisle CPA and CPC about CPA funding. Sorry. Is I think the way it's written in policies is this extraordinary circumstance for like a house being sold to a developer versus going into historic for things like that. Yeah. I think the way that we've taken the view in Carlisle, and that's all I can speak for, is that the tax burden is considered extraordinary right now. Yep. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
But different towns, different views, and that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think just moving forward, what might be something for us all to think about is, and I'm putting my Carlisle hat on, is we are a regional school district, and I know it is only for the high school, but when you look at the towns, I mean, I'm on the cover of your recreation department brochure. Mm-hmm. I coach basketball through Concord Rec. Mm-hmm. We've been members of the BD Center, youth baseball, youth basketball, it's all CC. And the fact that we have these calendars that are so off kilter, even though most of the projects, or I shouldn't say most, a lot of the projects have a joint town perspective. And then you look at the high school and the percentage of the budget that everyone never fails to remind me of, but we're not aligned on the schedule, and it's just sometimes very frustrating. And what I don't want to see is taxpayers paying the.
And I say this in jest, Carlisle just needs to sync up with our timeline. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I know. We don't have a robust process. I think, but in all seriousness, I think in historic, we've just taken the bill and not really fought it and paid it, and that's fine. But I think we're getting to a point from just the way inflation has happened over the past few years, expenses, it doesn't look like it's getting better given the current political landscape. And there's going to come a point when Carlisle is going to say no, and projects are going to start to fail. That's my perspective, I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else, but I do think we should probably look at that, because I heard some of the feedback from multiple groups about like we need to align to the timeline, and I think sometimes we should, and we can do that. I think this was an extraordinary circumstance. It didn't go our way. I understand all the reasons why it didn't, but just something to consider as we move forward.
The first time we hit, like doing the CCFA applications, I was like, wait, this isn't like a state calendar. Mm-hmm. Towns could just set their own willy-nilly. It just seems kind of odd. Like it would be good to have everybody to.
I agree. Something for us, something to consider. All right. The discussion, we only have one thing for tonight. We really wanted the focus to be on the budget. So the ICAF second reading, the first one went pretty swimmingly, but I didn't want to move it to the consent agenda in case people did want to do the formal second reading. Let me just pull it up. So this is the graduation requirement. Again, we're following the process. I don't believe we changed anything from before. So we could have put it in the consent agenda, but I just wanted to make sure we were all set if there was any discussion on it.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Otherwise, I'll take a motion to make a vote.
Sure, if everyone's ready.
Sure.
I move that we adopt policy IKF as proposed and written in our first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Okay. Roll call vote. And Tracy, I can see you if you want to just raise your hand as you vote.
Okay.
Anderson,
Andrew.
aye.
Yeah, right.
Percheck, aye.
Rainey, aye.
Was I? Yep. Gotcha.
Rainey said aye.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Viola, aye.
Watterson, aye.
Okay, great. All right, consent agenda. Hear a motion to.
I make a motion to approve the February 4th consent agenda.
Seconded.
Discussion? All right. Roll call vote.
Anderson, aye.
Percheck, aye. Tracy says yes.
Yep.
Aye for both. There's joint.
Oh, thank you.
Aye for both.
Aye for both. Tracy's got 2 thumbs up. Okay.
Rainey, aye for both.
Okay. Viola, aye for the region.
Watterson, aye for the region.
I'll just start raising my hand.
Okay. All right, and then moving on to the action items, we have 2 votes. The first one is the Concord Carlisle Regional School District fiscal year 26 budget.
Calendar. Oh, that was in the consent agenda.
Yep.
Just the underlining threw me off. Never mind.
Yep. Would you like to make a motion around the budget?
Sure. I pulled up.
I can do it. I have it up if you don't.
Got it. Go for it.
Okay. I move that the Concord Carlisle Regional School Committee vote to approve the Concord Carlisle Regional School District proposed FY26 budget in the amount of $40,479,952.
Seconded.
Discussion? I will just say, after going through the regional process for the first time this year, Bob, Dr. Hunter, I give you both a lot of credit. I know a lot of work went into this, and I think coming into guideline in a year like this is commendable. And I think in addition to that, the work that we had the opportunity to do earlier in the year on out-of-district tuition in partnership with the FinCom, I really, really appreciate the partnership and all of the effort going from town to town and all the different things. So just want to make that note.
I echo that. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. The way the presentation's been broken down, I just think it makes it really clear to digest so much information.
Yep.
I do request, though, we don't have any FY26 information on the website.
Okay.
Oh, we'll get that posted. Yep.
Yeah.
That's my.
For sure. Okay.
We need line item budget.
Yeah, we'll post it all.
Yep. Good feedback. All right. Roll call vote.
Anderson, aye.
Hurcheck, aye.
Morano, aye. I got her.
Rainey, aye.
Viola, aye.
Watterson, aye.
Great. That is a big relief. Thank you. All right. Now that we have all the information, the amenities warrant. Sorry, I'm just going to pull this up.
I can move it. I'm ready.
Okay.
Sure. I move that the Concord Carlisle Regional School Committee votes to approve the sum of $1,850,000 to be expended under the direction of the Concord Carlisle Regional School Committee for the purpose of constructing an amenities building with public restrooms and concession space, including without limitation the cost of engineering, design, site preparation, excavation, subsurface materials and construction, and all other cost incidental or related thereto at the Concord Carlisle High School located at 500 Walden Street, Concord, Massachusetts.
Second.
Discussion? Tracy's got
I actually-
a comment.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Hold on just a second. We're going to get you the volume up.
We're going to address this.
It's okay.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah. All right, Tracy, hold on just a second. All right, go ahead.
Andrew's really getting his steps in, so it actually is working out quite well. The only comment I have on the motion language is, do we want to put an ADA compliant in that motion language?
I think that's a great call out.
I did have a similar thought as Alexa was
Yeah,
reading through it, so I don't think it would hurt.
And I just, I'm going to again publicly say, this is really for an ADA compliant restroom. This is not for our sports teams. This is for the community to use. And it really is a compliance issue.
Thank you.
So, somebody going to wordsmith this?
Sure, I will rescind my original motion for the 100th time this evening. And instead, I will move that the Concord Carlisle Regional School Committee votes to appropriate the sum of $1,850,000 to be expended under the direction of the Concord Carlisle Regional School Committee for the purpose of constructing an amenities building with ADA-compliant public restrooms and concession space, including without limitation the cost of engineering, design, site preparation, excavation, subsurface materials, and construction, and all other costs incidental or related thereto at the Concord Carlisle High School located at 500 Walden Street, Concord, Massachusetts.
And I'll second again.
Discussion.
So we just have to change the language then in the town
Warrant.
meeting motion?
I can, if you're fine, I'll just insert ADA compliant before the word public restrooms.
Correct.
Right.
That does the trick.
Yep.
I think at the very least, I am very grateful that everyone that we are speaking to at this point understands the necessity of this project, the urgency of this project, and I'm optimistic about its support. So I appreciate that we're moving forward.
Yep.
At the same time, though, as I shared in the subcommittee meeting on Monday, we now have 3 months of a PR campaign because not everybody has been listening to the conversation so far. I mean, and that's for better or
3
worse.
months at the Carlisle Town Meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Which,
It feels like it's going to be longer than that till June.
there are people who come to town meeting who aren't
Who aren't
as versed
tapped
as
in.
what's going on up until that time. So we've got to really put our heads together for how we're going to get the messaging out across the two towns.
And I'm not even clear what the split is and what the implications are for each
Yeah.
town going forward.
Sure, we can put our heads together.
I think we'll be successful with that and have some good ideas, but other ideas are also welcome. from
Yeah,
People who
good
aren't
point.
on the.
So maybe at the next meeting, you can, or soonish, you can show us what that is, because I don't know.
Which don't you know?
The split, what the article looked like in Carlisle. 'cause
Oh, I
you
see.
guys are going first. Right?
Yep.
You
Sorry,
know what I'm saying?
Say that again?
So if it's to pass, what will be the tax implications for Carlisle? will be the tax implications for Concord of the debt.
Yeah, I think the way, if you're asking about, I think my understanding from the way it's going to be written in the warrant, it will be the full amount.
I get that.
Right.
She wants to know how much it's going to increase your tax bill.
Oh, yeah.
Average household.
Yeah. That's why we're asking the questions we are in Carlisle.
Right.
Because that's why we're going to the CPA route, and we'd like that to cover, if not all, a fairly good portion of it. Now, to your point about the regional agreement, this is the questions that we had with Ryan McLean. If we're going to get our portion, the 23.7% knocked off, and it's going to give us a bill, and can we use our funds to target that? That's what we're trying to figure out. So, yeah.
We talked to both towns, too.
What's that?
I would talk to both towns, too.
Correct.
We have to all agree on this.
Yeah.
You know.
No, agreed.
I don't think this has ever been like a question.
Yeah.
You know, to have a.
Yeah. We reached out to legal counsel too.
Right.
And I would agree. Everyone's answer is, oh, that's a good question. So.
Yep. I know I think we were, yeah, yep. I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
Due diligence is underway.
Yeah.
If it helps, I did a model last year that projected what the debt service would be, and it was more than this. So I could just change the number to 1.8 million, and that's the high end of the range, and just say this. There'd be no impact in FY '26 because the borrowing would happen in '26. The first debt service would happen in '27.
Right.
And Carla would like you to say, okay, take the CPC contribution out, and what are we left with?
Yeah, or whatever the bill is that we get sent for it, that we would put our CPA funds towards it. Yeah. What we don't want to have happen is if we get $250,000, it goes and it takes off, and that covers
75% to Concord's tax.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Fair.
Yeah. 'Cause CPC is prepared to, I think, recommend the full, that they would do the full Carlisle share, but I understand what you're saying, so.
Yep.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were hoping to have answers by this meeting. We just didn't get them, but I think the push is there to have that for the next meeting.
When are
for
their
sure.
CPC meetings approximately?
March 4th is Carlisle's.
Next one is March 4th. So yesterday, they decided to move it forward.
Good.
And to move it forward at.
I would expect them to want that answer. I would expect that they would like that answer.
They do. Yeah. That's what I was saying in the when Bob was doing his presentation. That's where my questions were coming from. Yep.
Yeah, so Carlisle was trying to get the answer first from the Community Preservation Coalition. They haven't, so they're going to town council to try to get some information.
Great.
I think just the last piece, I think just to say, I've said this before, and I know I've been a tough critic on things. It's hard to shoulder the no, because there was the last ditch effort going to the CPC in Concord. And I do really appreciate, again, the support, especially for the ADA compliance. That is the biggest piece, and that is why we are pushing this forward as hard as we are. Not only being out of compliance is one thing, but I think the emotional feedback, those of us that are on the table see notes, and people don't always want public. I'm happy that in the meeting that I was able to attend with CPC, there was some heartfelt feedback of people who wanted to vote yes, whatever the process was going to be. So I really appreciate the support at a macro level.
And there was some of that in Concord this evening as
That's what I mean. Yeah, it was great. So appreciate all that. All right. We get a vote on the amenities warrant.
Anderson, aye.
Percheck, aye.
Morano's aye.
Rainey, aye.
Viola, aye.
Watterson, aye.
All right. It's 8:21 p.m. and we have to roll call out for our adjournment.
Anderson, aye.
Percheck, aye.
Morano, aye.
Rainey, aye.
Viola, aye.
Watterson, aye.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You want to do it?
Oh, God.
Whoa.
Wow.